morning. No, okay. Good morning. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this special event. We are Corina Aldea and the undersigned Cornel Crișan, and it's an honor to be your host today during Romania's National Day, organized within the world's largest nature exhibition, One with Nature, World of Hunting and Nature.
This year, we celebrate 50 years since the first edition of this exhibition, which dates from 1971, and the Romanian delegation has prepared for you an exceptional program, which includes a session of speeches delivered by Romanian political figures, representative cultural moments from different areas of Romania, as well as musical moments with beloved performers.
In the following moments, we invite you to listen to the national anthem of Romania performed by the exceptional orchestra. As all of us know by now, the bilateral relations between Hungary and Romania are characterized as a strategic partnership for Europe's 21st century. Moreover, the climate, flora and fauna of the two countries are similar, which has led to an even better collaboration in the environment field, and not only.
Taking that into consideration, it is an honor to have here with us His Excellency Mr. Barna, the Minister of Environment, Waters and Forests, whom we invite to address us a few words. Excellency, you have the floor.
Dear ladies and gentlemen, doamnelor și domnilor, hölgyeim és uraim, it's a special day for Romania. Este o zi specială pentru România, egy különleges nap Románia számára a mai. Let me send some special thanks to Hungary, to our partners, to our friends who made possible this day for Romania, for us, who made possible to present our culture, our nature, our heritage, our values here in Budapest. And it is very nice and special event, One with Nature, the World Exposition. Doamnelor și domnilor, dați-ne voie să le mulțumim în mod special prietenilor și partenerilor noștri din Ungaria pentru această zi specială, să le mulțumim pentru ocazia de a prezenta România, de a prezenta cultura, tradiția și valorile noastre aici la această expoziție mondială One with Nature. Hölgyeim és uraim, külön köszönet Magyarország számára, külön köszönjük, hogy lehetővé tették Románia számára, hogy bemutassuk a kultúránkat, az értékeinket, azt a természetet, amely része az One with Nature világkiállításnak. Și dați-mi voie să adresez câteva cuvinte speciale Dați-mi voie să adresez câteva cuvinte speciale în limba română familiei Șemien. Ne vor înțelege în mod deosebit, doamne Șemien, este născută în România, citește în continuare în limba română și este prezentă astăzi alături de domnul vicepremier cu noi aici la acest eveniment. Mulțumim pentru aplauze. It's a special day even for this exposition. As I understood from Mr. Șemien, today they broke the special number, the number of the visitors. There are more than 1 million visitors at this special exposition and more than 300,000 here in OMEC in Budapest. Congratulations, Mr. Vice Prime Minister, Vice President, is not? And special thanks for us, from Romania. We are here to present our, as I said, our culture, our values, the nature. Please allow me to express my sincere appreciation and congratulate the Hungarian government for organizing the world's largest nature exhibition, One with Nature, the world of hunting and nature, especially in these challenging times generated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Finding a common agreement on the action we have to perform today for a better tomorrow, many times in a demanding task. Romania's national culture has always been closely linked to hunting. It's like other European countries, preserving hunting in an ethical, professional framework has always been a priority in our country. Hunting is an central activity that constitutes a small part of the wildlife management that must be professionalized and restructured in order to align with the nowadays requirements. We must recognize that Romania has a remarkable potential for the wildlife management activity with legendary habitats and species. Unfortunately, in the last 10-20 years, these aspects have not been an explicit priority for the political agenda. The main guidelines and the direction provided by the Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forests are very clear in this respect, namely to focus resetting the wildlife management and in the same time to create a proper culture on this field. As I mentioned, the conservation of species requires an applicable integrated management. Strictly protected species cannot be protected without an awareness and interest for all participants in the exploitation of nature resources. Likewise, a species cannot be taken from the wildlife context, and certain measures must be implemented to protect it. Moreover, we must keep in mind the fact that unintegrated, uninspired decisions directly impact the trophic chain, the fragile balance between species and the prey-predator relations. That is why the future wildlife management landscape of Romania, the motto will, based on the sustainability management, of a course of action in which are we putting all our efforts. Regarding the main cornerstones of our nature conservation efforts, as you all probably know, Romania is the country with the largest population of brown bears in Europe. At the same time, and due to some misunderstanding between those involved in the species management, the situation has become truly tragic. This context has been created because the public authority could not exercise fully its species administrator responsibilities. And those was in the impossibility to implement a sustainable management plan. In my opinion, is the biggest challenge at this moment and the most responsible way to solving the bear species situation can only be done through the nature reintegration in the community trophic chain and sustainable species management. We must keep in mind that we have a history in which people lived in harmony with nature, especially the ones living in the countryside. Although, paradoxically, due to the heavy development of major infrastructure projects, highways, railways, etc., biodiversity is still remarkable in Romania. The problem starts with intensive crops, disturbance of habitats, insecticides, herbicides, harmful to biodiversity from a holistic point of view. To a certain degree, any legislative measure can encounter an obstacle in the eyes of the public opinion. But in my opinion, the given situation can be overpassed through education and awareness. Another solution is to co-interest of a farmer and a zootechnician in the fauna management. It is my belief that the challenges for coexistence between humans and wildlife are among the most serious ones at Europe's level. In addition to wolves and lynx, we have, as I previously mentioned, the largest bear population in Europe. This fact raises the most serious cohabitation problems ever encountered by the EU member states, and the sensitive aspects of cohabitation are represented by the coexistence of all the relevant stakeholders as regards an adaptive management, which nowadays has to face many pressures more or less professionally justified. In this regard, the public authority has to assure a balance, namely creating a balanced approach between the interests of the structures. In this, we allow the species protection and at the same time the development of each party's activities involved in this process. I have to mention the hunting tourism. The hunting tourism in Romania is currently far below the potential of our country. This is due to the lack of a strong political engagement, the impossibility of creating a stable and professional legislative framework, the hostile climate created by the misunderstanding generated by the relation between the public authorities, managers, and civil society. Thank you for all to be present here today. Thank you for the attention, and I wish to welcome all of you to this special event called Romania's National Day, and I hope you will have a great time and find out some interesting aspects both about our country's culture tradition and, of course, about our hunting traditions. Thank you very much. Vă mulțumesc. Köszönöm szépen.
Your Excellency, thank you for these words and for the provided guidelines regarding what needs to be done to reset wildlife management and, at the same time, to create a proper culture in this field.
We previously mentioned the good cooperation that has been developed between Romania and Hungary. That is also guaranteed by an exceptional diplomatic activity carried out at the highest professional level, reason for which, in the following, we are honored to invite His Excellency Mr. Gabriel ШОПАНДЫ, Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary of Romania to Hungary, to address us a few words. Excellency, you have the floor.
kedves miniszterelnök helyettes, kedves miniszter úr, elkelő vendégek, hölgyeim és uraim. Allow me to begin by congratulating the organizers for making possible such an important event. At One with Nature, World of Hunting and Nature exhibition, the Romania team accomplished an outstanding venue for my country. Albert Einstein once said, "Look deep into nature, and then you will understand everything better." I truly believe that the name of this expo is fitting to our times. Romania and Hungary share a flourishing economic cooperation at many levels. Hungary and Romania is Romania's fourth destination for exports and third country for imports. 2019 was a record year for our bilateral trade, with a total amount of 9.4 billion euro. 2020, with a promising start, turned out to be the year of uncertainty, especially when we talk about business environment. The backbone of our economies, the small and medium enterprises, were hit the hardest. As more than 90% of the companies are within this segment in both the Romanian and Hungary economies. In these difficult times, our bilateral trade reached 8.9 billion euro in 2020, with a relatively small decrease of almost 5%. Ki mind vet, ugi orod. The way you sow is the way you reap. Despite a harsh year, from what we can see now, trade kept going between Romania and Hungary, thus giving a positive feeling that we can overcome the barriers and hopefully set a new record of this year's figure. In the first 6 months of 2021, the trade balance already reached 5.6 billion, an increase of 25% from the previous period. The new era of doing business, crafted by the pandemic, among others, will mean to find partners closer to home. What better opportunities to start than those from neighboring countries? Our economies are strongly connected if we take into account that almost 30% of our exports and imports are related to the automotive industry. Nowadays, the focus is this industry shifted from the traditional engines to a greener, environmental-friendly production. Electric mobility will become a part of our life, thus trying to help preserve the surrounding nature and make it more livable for us and for our children. Ladies and gentlemen, tourism can help us discover our countries, connect us, and why not, come back from our journeys with new business ideas and partnership. Therefore, I invite the distinguished guests to discover Romania, its beautiful landscape and warm hospitality. The Danube Delta, for example, a unique gem in Europe, can present itself as a place where we can reconnect with nature, but also as a place where a new business idea can arise. As the new times force us to find opportunities closer to home, not only production and tourism, but technology, IT, healthcare, and services can create bridges between our countries. The transition to a green economy will outline future endeavors for our governments. Thus, I believe working closer together will be beneficial for us. In closing, thank you all for joining us here. I strongly recommend you to visit the beautiful pavilion of Romania. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize and commend the people who designed and built the pavilion for their creative ideas. Last but not least, please allow me to acknowledge the leadership and dedication of His Excellency Mr. Semyon Zsolt, Deputy Prime Minister of Hungary, and Mr. Kovács Zoltán, Government Commissioner, the powerhouses behind the One with Nature World of Hunting and Nature exhibition. Thank you and congratulations. Köszönöm, és gratulálok.
Ambassador, we thank you very much for your words, which illustrated the overview of the collaboration between Hungary and Romania, the economic associated aspects, and also for your vision on the next steps to be done in order to strengthen the bilateral cooperation.
Because today, the event is symbolically called Romania's National Day, we also have to keep in mind the remarkable culture, traditions, and uniqueness of our country.
With a tradition of 62 years, the National Folklore Ensemble Transylvania has developed in the spirit of the authentic national folklore.
The next moment is dedicated to Dobrogea region from Romania, also called the south gate of our country due to the Black Sea harbors, Constanța and Mangalia, where over time many people came to Romania from distant lands.
Dear guests, let's welcome the artistic moment from Dobrogea region, the talented National Folklore Ensemble Transylvania.
Cornel, how did you like the artistic moment?
My dear Corina, what can I say? It was full of energy, a lot of happiness. For this reason, our artistic program continues with Mr. Dumitru Dobrican, the beloved tarotist or guardian of folk traditions from Groș, is, as he also is called, is a promoter of folklore and folk traditions who studied and worked all his life in a professional art institution, the National Folklore Assembly Transylvania from Maramureș County.
With an exceptional repertoire based on the originality of the Romanian people, we invite Mr. Dumitru Dobrican to join us.
Thank you so much. Like, speechless moment. I hope you enjoy it, because we continue the series of speeches meant to honor the good collaboration between Hungary and Romania with Ms. Simona BUCURA-OPRESCU, Chairman of the Committee for Public Administration and Territorial Planning within the Parliament of Romania Chamber of Deputies. Madam Chairman, you have the floor.
Vă spun și eu bună ziua și bine v-am găsit. Ionuț. Este o onoare și o bucurie să fim astăzi la Budapesta. Îi rog pe cei de la protocol să nu se sperie, voi citi discursul în limba engleză, dar nu pot să nu spun și câteva cuvinte de suflet, câteva cuvinte care își vor regăsi cu siguranță ecoul doar în limba română. Fiecare dintre noi știm, constatăm că România este unică. Este unică prin fauna sa, unică în Europa, prin faptul că datorită dumneavoastră, celor care sunteți silvicultori, vânători, oameni ai naturii, cumva datorită dumneavoastră România a reușit să mențină într-o Europa cu din ce în ce mai multe provocări un echilibru. Echilibru între om și natură, echilibru între speciile de animale, echilibru de conviețuire pe care în puține țări din Uniunea Europeană îl găsim. Vă mulțumim pentru asta, mulțumim tuturor celor din breasla minunată a oamenilor care sunt una cu natura. Mr. Deputy Chairman, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, I am glad and I am honored to be today in Budapest and to have a short message about us, about men, about nature, and about future. Because finally, what we have to do is to spread all these ideas and all these issues and all these beliefs and to be able to create together the future. I must say that I am coming from an old Romanian mountains area, which a vast spirituality, with the totemic substratum, with magical meanings and concepts and rituals and so on, where the hunting tradition has solid values. It was this spirit that developed the desire for freedom and the pleasure of hunting. That's how it is there where my people are coming. Romania's national cultural heritage has already highlighted that of forestry hunting. We are talking about archaic human occupations that had influences even on human evolution. The art of Romanian hunting is undisputable at European and overwide level. For hunting, has been, will continue to be a key and a factor of culture and civilization, never subordinated to the tendencies of the time. The solidarity of the Guild has created and sustaining both hunting ethics and aesthetics related to the manifestation of related culture. During Paris Exposition of 1867, for the first time, the Kingdom of Romania exhibited bear and wolf furs, but also a painting by famous painter Nicolae Grigorescu, Hunter in the Forest, aspects which cannot be overlooked. They highlight the great interest in this field even that time. I also want to mention briefly the exhibition organized by your country at the beginning of the 20th century, followed by the one in Vienna, 1910, where the deer of Bukovina and the bears of Transylvania won a remarkable prize. In Leipzig in 1930, then in Berlin in 1937, the confirmation of Romanians' hunting potential was already notorious. They all decide Romania is the best. In 1971, the organization of another large-scale exhibition in Budapest left its mark on world hunting history. Already a true annual tradition, the display of trophies and everything related to the field of hunting culture here in your country can be an example worth to be followed by the other countries. Yes, the veneration for the wild nature, the guild with strong connection to archaic one, and the warriors created a special art full of miracle of the real experiences by natural phenomena and the beasts. Hunting literature also offers the most relevant aspect of hunting places on the border between real and imaginary. I can conclude that the fabulous spirit of hunting, with all of it, can be found these days here in your lands. Thank you, and I wish your tradition of organizing such special events would last and to be continued with, by, and in Romania, and for the future of the world and of our children. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you very much for your kind words and the accents underlined regarding the natural capital of our country, with emphasis on its landscapes that includes all possible landforms and habitats.
Dear guests, our program continues with Mr. Gheorghe NACOV, member of the Committee for Public Administration and Territorial Planning within the Parliament of Romania Chamber of Deputies. Mr. Deputy, please join us. You have the floor.
Jó napot, vadász barátaim! Bună ziua tuturor! Your Excellencies, my name is Gheorghe NACOV and I am the Deputy of the Bulgarian minority in Romanian Parliament. And first of all, I wish to thank to Romanian hunters for that we have the richest fauna in all Europe. Dragi vânători români, dragi silvicultori români, faptul că suntem astăzi aici în calitate de țara Uniunii Europene cu cea mai bogată faună și cele mai bogate păduri vi se datorează primiți respectul meu. Thanks to Rom Silva, I have the honor and the privilege to present you one of the Europe's wonders, and I mean, you all know it, is Danube Delta. At the end of a 2,840 kilometers journey from its springs in the Black Forest Mountains, more precisely from the Donaueschingen in Germany to Pontus Euxinus, that's the Black Sea, the Danube has been building for over 12,000 years, now one of the most characteristic and beautiful deltas in Europe and even across the world. Although it's the second largest in Europe and the 20th largest in the world, the Danube Delta, through its rich flora, fauna, and landscape, in which birds are the most important, it's a very special place for the scientific point of view, being a true laboratory for the formation of deltaic ecosystems. The biodiversity that includes many rare, vulnerable, or endangered species at European level, together with the ethnocultural diversity that is preserved from father to son, represent a special dowry in terms of crafts, traditions, and customs in the 8 best representing ethnic groups out of 13 from the Danube Delta. Of the 4,455 square kilometers at which the surface of Danube Delta is estimated, 79% of it is a natural mosaic of ecosystems in which backwaters, lakes, reeds, and willow beds shelter insect species, fish, birds, and mammals of great diversity. To the listed ecosystems, 2 jewels from the top of the pyramid as scientific and landscape importance must be added: Letia and Karaorman, meso-xerophytic forest with Mediterranean features. Since 1990, the Danube Delta has been declared Biosphere Reserve, and since 1991, UNESCO World Heritage Site and Ramsar Site 2. In order to achieve an efficient integrated management of the surface of the delta itself, the Razim Sinoe Lake Complex, the coastal marine waters up to 20 meters the undeveloped delta Danube meadow between Isacce and Tulcea, and the Danube Channel were also included, the Romanian area between Codul Pisici and Ceatalul Chiliei, totalizing an area of 5,800 square kilometers. To protect the gene pool and specific ecosystem characteristic of the delta, a number of 20 strictly protected areas, that means 506 square kilometers, were established with the Danube Delta Biosphere Reserve. The buffer zone was established around the strict protection area in order to gradually reduce the impact of human activities, and the economic zone, where traditional and environmentally friendly activities take place. The rich dowry of biodiversity includes about 1,600 species of plants, about 3,700 species of fauna, of which 55 species of mammals, 225 species of birds, 132 species of fish, 11 species of reptiles, 7 species of amphibians, 70 species of snails, insects, and other invertebrates. With the exception of the strictly protected areas of Letia and Karaorman, where special natural elements of flora are protected, the other strict protection areas, bird species are protected. 10 natural monument species and respectively 320 species protected by Berne Convention, the great white pelican, the Dalmatian pelican, Eurasian spoonbill, the great egret, the little egret, the mute swan, the tundra swan, the black-winged stilt, the ruddy shell duck, the common shell duck, the little bustard, the crested duck, the red-breasted goose, and the wild-tailed eagle. The Danube Delta is a vast refuge for migratory birds as nesting or wintering areas, or as a passage, rest area, on their way from Northern Europe to Africa. The Danube Delta is a source of incomparably valuable special landscape, unique for the world's natural heritage. We can say that it is a museum of biodiversity, a genetic natural bank for universal natural heritage. In the Danube Delta, we find most of the population of great white pelican, Pelecanus onocrotalus, and Dalmatian pelican, Pelecanus crispus, 60% of the population of pygmy cormorant, and 50% of the world population of red-breasted goose during the winter season. In comparison with other deltas of Europe and even of the Earth, the Danube Delta has preserved a higher biodiversity, respectively a larger number of species from a great diversity of systematic units, starting from the lower plants, unicellular, to upper ones, chromophete, and from the single-celled animals, protozoa, to the most advanced vertebrates. There are 4 vascular plants endemic of the regional level and 56 species of Ponto-Caspian or Ponto-Danubian endemic plants. Scientifically important and charismatic plants, but also important because they give a special note to the deltaic vegetal carpet, true gems of the natural wild, such as orchids. Orchids elegans, Plantatera bifolia, Anacamptis pyramidalis, and many others. Orleanes that hang like garlands in the Letia or Karaorman forests, Periploca greca, Humulus lupulus, Hedera helix, Clematis vitalba, Vitis sylvestris. On the canals, lakes, and backwaters, 2 species of water lilies can be admired. Nymphea alba, white water lily, and Nuphar lutea, yellow water lily with floating leaves and often with roots fixed in the mud at the bottom of the lake basin. The landscape offered by the 2 species is spectacular, comforting, and invites you to meditation and greater respect for the natural deltaic treasure. In the Danube Delta, the lakes are interconnected by a labyrinth of canals, some of them former minders of the delta, Schontia pardina, with large areas of reeds being the largest and most compact reed banks area on the planet. On Letia and Karaorman sand banks can be found 2 patrias of Garryax oak or common oak, Pallis ash, Fraxinus pallisae, with diameters over 1.5 meters and over 400 years old guarding in the forest strips that represent all tallweg in which the water receded and the first clusters of trees were fixed in the form of narrow strips where there is a continuous struggle for each ray of light, guarded by sand dunes with semi-desert vegetation. Among the mammals, the population recovery of the Felis sylvestris, the wild cat, Mustela lutreola, mink, and Lutra lutra, otter, is gratifying. Among the predators can be often found the species ermine, raccoon dog, fox, wildcat, and relatively new, but with major impact on the food chain, the golden jackal. Even if hunting is forbidden in the Danube Delta, tourists can often admire specimens of species of deer, wild boar, hare that can be captured in photographs posing like real stars on the huge podium represented by the deltaic land. The Danube Delta is also famous for the harmony in coexistence between the representatives of different ethnic groups, Lipovan Russians, Ukrainians, Bulgarians, Tatars, Greeks, Turks, Romanians, and Italians. This is the only place where people from the local communities who live along the branches, canals of the Danube, or on isolated sandbanks depend largely on renewable natural resources. One of the activities that highlights the incomparable landscape of the Danube Delta and also the ethno-cultural heritage of local community is tourism. For this purpose, 25 tourist routes have been established in the nature reserve, on which 15 routes that can be performed only by means of naval transport, and 9 routes that can be performed by hiking or by means of road transport. Whether you go by boat or canals of extraordinary biodiversity richness, under willow galleries, or by horse-drawn carriage on the deltaic sandbanks, the inhabitants of Delta talk to you with great love and skill, even if not in scientific terms, about the natural treasures and tradition of this place, whether you are in Sulina, Chilia, Rossetti, St. George, Mila 23, Karaorman, or Murighiol. The Danube Delta also offers an extensive network of guest houses and hotels for all tastes and budget of tourists. Tourists can also rent boats and choose guided tours. Thus, after returning for the trip, tourists energically charged by the changing landscape can enjoy the gastronomic offer that includes selected dishes specific to ethnic groups, such as carp on the spit, malasolka, baklavas, saraili, curban, scordalia, chiroști, varenici, fish plachie, fish brine, fish soup, along with having the pleasure of serving a wine from the winery that grows on the deltaic alluvium, so perfect in taste. Tourists can also admire the traditional clothing carefully preserved by ethnic groups, the habit of singing by the fire in the evening on the shore in a traditional fairy tale rhythm. There is no other place like Danube Delta where you can live more intensively and feel a better harmony between biodiversity and local communities, between visitors, nature, and the wonderful host of the Danube Delta who preserve their folklore, garments, their customs and tradition, and share the secret of this deltaic ethnocultural treasure to all visitors. So we can say that the Danube Delta is a unique European brand, an unmatched tourist destination at European level. It was an honor for me, and it's an honor for me to be a hunter. Hunting is conservation, we all know that, and we must keep this not only tradition, this is our duty. I'm very proud to be a hunter, and I'm very proud that my son is a hunter too. Pozdravljam sve te Polčane da ste došli tukaj I pozdrav I na vas bratja Bulgari. Congratulations to our wonderful hosts, and many thanks to Rom Silva and to Ministry of Environment of Romania for this also wonderful organization. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy, thank you for your presence, the words you addressed us, but also for being a real support for the sustainable wildlife management.
Corina, I suggested to continue our program with another artistic moment. Do you want to?
Sure.
Our guest, the National Folklore Ensemble Transylvania, is a true exponent of musical and choreographic folklore in Maramureș and beyond, being one of the best promoters of traditional Romanian culture and an exceptional ambassador of the Romanian people.
Bucovina region is a wonderful place, an area of special beauty in terms of geographical elements, but also of traditional and spiritual culture. From this folk area, in the following moments, we present a mix of dances that impress with the musical rhythms common to the whole Balkan area.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's enjoy a traditional dance from Bucovina region together with the National Folk Ensemble Transylvania.
probă.
In the following moments, we have with us an ambassador of Maramureș region. The vocal singer, Andreea Ghițiu, is the winner of many prizes of the folklore festival, like the Golden Grapes or the love song Along the Danube.
She is also a graduate of the Technical University of Cluj-Napoca, specialized in ethnology. Accustomed with the stage, she was a semi-finalist at Romanians Have Talent in 2018 and contest, and also a finalist in the contest show A Popular Star.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the talented popular music singer, Andreea Ghițiu.
Da pe man mine nu e bună, da pe man mine nu e bună. Dacă pomade mă trăgună, dacă pomade mă trăgună, că-i legată cu lanțuri, măi, că-i legată cu lanțuri, măi, dar și-i cuprinsă de doruri, măi, dar și-i cuprinsă de doruri, măi, dar legată-i cu lănțurele, dar legată-i cu lănțurele, da cuprinsă-i de dorurele, da cuprinsă-i de dorurele. Nu știu pe cine aș afla, măi, nu știu pe cine aș afla, măi, dar să-mi dezlege inima, măi, dacă te-ar cere atât te-aș da, măi, dacă te-ar cere atât te-aș da, măi. souviens-tu de moi, quoi maman que ça t'arrange. Et quand revient le matin, tu t'entorses sur mon chagrin, Johnny, tu n'es pas un ange. Johnny, Johnny, si tu étais plus galante, Johnny, Johnny, je t'aimerais tout autant. Dar mai frumos sunt ai mei, că le dau apă cu mei și zboară ca niște smei. Mai frumoasă-i mândra mea, de seară mă duc la ea, să ne e cu zurgălă.
Andreea Ghițiu, congratulations for this beautiful moment.
Our program within the One with Nature World of Hunting and Nature on the occasion of the day dedicated to Romania continues with a speech delivered by His Excellency Mr. Ionuț Sorin BANCIU, Secretary of State within the Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forests, and also my boss, whom I invite to take the floor. Mr. BANCIU, you have the floor.
Bună ziua, Ionopot Kivanok. Good day to everyone. Honorable guests, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Romanians have always had a special relationship with nature. This is obvious from the way we have understood to live in harmony with nature, in interdependency. The undisputed fact that Romania still has some of the most beautiful and natural forests, and also the healthiest and well-represented wildlife populations, is not an accident or the result of hazard. The rich biodiversity of Romania is to a great extent the result of a balanced relationship of Romanians with nature. We are part of nature. We are one with nature, as the name of this fabulous event says. Romanians, as well as some other neighbors, have shaped since very long time the wild landscapes they lived in. The Carpathian space was actively inhabited for millennia, and humans have influenced this space in a unique way compared to other places on Earth. We have borrowed from nature things that we needed, and we are still doing this because we need nature. Nature is part of us. I have used the term borrow, and I did it on purpose, because borrowing means asking something, but also giving it back or giving something else back. And this is what Romanians have done. We have borrowed wisely natural resources from our extraordinary landscapes. And we also took care of them because we needed them, because we cared about them. We have not depleted these valuable resources how others did, but we preserve them, we conserve them through active and careful management in most of the cases. All people that visit our country are surprised by the beauty of our landscapes, by the exceptional biodiversity of a European country, by the wilderness of our mountains. The presence of this natural richness that we can't estimate because they are of universal value, as UNESCO nominates the oldest beech forest of the Carpathians, represents the clear evidence of an almost symbiotic relationship with the natural spaces where we live for a long time. Preserving, conserving these natural wonders is a huge responsibility, especially in the context of important decisions that we need to take in the following years. I am convinced that Romania and its people will have the wisdom to pass on this natural heritage and to borrow to future generations the beauties that today we have the privilege to manage. Thank you all colleagues, thank you the organizers of this event, I think we need to do it more and more often, even if part of our societies seem not to understand the reasons of being here, foresters and hunters together. And I really believe that we need to communicate more and present the work we do, because people that work for nature are special people. Thank you and have a good event.
Mr. Secretary of State, we thank you for your speech and also for your perspective on the future wildlife management landscape of Romania.
In the following moments, I want to turn your attention to a visual presentation, and for this we invite on the stage Dr. József Tamás FODOR, Wildlife Management Counselor of the Romanian Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forests.
Thank you very much. I'm the advisor of Minister, so you can use your tomatoes from your bag. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, distinguished audience, dear guests, ladies and gentlemen. If we're talking about the wildlife management in Romania, I think the first place we have to talk about brown bears and Romania's legendary brown bear population. And I focus my presentation only more for vision of ministry in the future and how we can manage the brown bear population. The brown bear population in Romania is a part of Carpathian subpopulation, which is about 8,000 exemplars. Their status is less concerned, which means that it's not vulnerable and most likely not to go extinct in the near future. According to the last reports, which were done in 2016, Romania was foaled about 6,014 exemplars from the Carpathian population. More and more specialists say that the real population is really higher. There are different kinds of visions and practice around the European countries. The most common ones are based on scientific estimation of effectives, yearly monitoring by wildlife management entities, and adaptive harvesting. An important issue is always the social acceptance from people and damage compensations as well. As we know, the mentioned states have a sustainable management system based on National Bear Management Plan and Habitat Directive as well. Also, the harvesting takes in consideration the local densities and always the social structures and the people's need. In Romania, as you can see, the habitat quality for brown bear is very suitable and diverse, and practically permits a high-quality, sustainable management, and they permit in any season. The brown bear shares the habitat with other large carnivores, the wolf, lynx, and feral cats. The density and also the quality of these species are also impressive. Since 2006, in Romania has started a new era in which all kinds of harvesting was banned as a political decision. The brown bear was managed in a passive manner, taken from context of the trophic chain. The agriculturalist point of view, the livestock holders, and also part of society's opinion were completely ignored, and thus practically we cannot talk about any form of wildlife management. As we accepted the damages, the habituation, and unfortunately the number of human victims have increased near to an unsupportable level. Nowadays, even the brown bear's presence inside human settlements are considered as usual. Since 2016, we registered more than 20 human deaths and hundreds of people injured, which is unacceptable for our point of view. Starting from January this year, the Ministry of Environment has a new vision, and we started to implement it. Firstly, we focused on emergency situation and protecting people's lives and goods. The zero priority for ministry was the implementation of government ordinance for quick intervention in case of inside bear presences. Now, this ordinance is already working, and the first intervention have been made. Another high priority issue is the action plan, which was approved itself in 2018, but only this year was started to be implemented. The main goal of this project is the scientific estimation of the brown bear population based on DNA analysis of scats and hair samples. The concern is that the first results of the estimation will be available only in 2023. But it is better late than never. Probably we will use this method as a safety one, being applied every 10 years. Between these periods of 10 years, as a yearly monitoring, we were working on a new method of estimation, so-called synchron counting on the feeding sites, which will be implemented starting with the next year, spring. Using the same and registered feeding sites, the estimation will be implemented at the wildlife management units level and uploaded in the ministry's database. In addition, with a special application, we will be able to monitor the effective presence of counting teams on the feeding sites and the time spent there. The results will show us the minimum number of population and the distribution of age and sex. More than this, using the method, yearly we will know even the reproduction and cubs survival rate. According to the results, we will set up a preventive extraction quota based also on national damage map and local densities of brown bears. The reintegration of species within the trophic chain is also an important and long-time measure. As an umbrella species, the brown bear has an impact on others placed on the top or the bottom species within the trophic chain. In this new context, the wildlife management system needs to be changed with a new one, where the national wildlife management policies are designated to integrate not only the harvesting itself, but also the livestock management and agricultural policies as well. We try to manage this inside and also the outside conditions, paying the same attention. All those conditions should be fixed in the same time with adequate legislation change. And the last but very important issue is the question of harvesting versus conservation. I think that these terms do not exclude each other. More than this, an integrated view should be the best one to be applied. I will name it conservation with sustainable harvesting. A sustainable management based on a scientific approach, even in harvesting, could give us a win-win situation. Anyway, the conservation efforts are completely ineffective without also the economic interest of related participants. Thank you very much for kind attention.
We continue the series of presentation with one addressing the history of hunting, delivered by Mr. Dan Cornel POPOVICI, Councillor within the Romanian Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forests. Mr. POPOVICI, please, you have the floor.
The history about tradition in Romanian hunting. Strabon said the Dacian that they were like wolf, being a mystical, being of mystical and powerful symbol in antiquity. The Thracian jet goddess Bendis was considered the protector of the forest and hunting. In the Middle Age, some peasants paid part of their financial obligation to the landowners in venison. As a result of the economic and industrial development of human society, the diversification and modernization of the tools, the unsustainable exploitation of resources through excessive hunting, a number of game species become endangered, some even going on the verge of extinction. Bison is the largest terrestrial mammal in Europe, being well spread on the Romanian territory until the 18th century, when it became extinct. Currently, this species has been reintroduced into the fauna, Romania being one of the 9 countries in Europe where this species live in the wild. Beaver, a widespread species, it was excessively hunted until disappeared in the late of the 18th century. In the 1998, through the beaver program, the species was reintroduced to the effort of the team led by Gheorghe Ionescu on the Olt, Mureș, and the Ionuț rivers. In 2010, the beaver population in Romania was estimated at over 1,500 exemplars. In 1872, the first law of hunting appeared in Transylvania, which established the fundamental principle, namely that the right to hunt was reserved for the landowners. In 1874, the first Romanian hunting manual appeared in Bucharest. In 1885, the first forestry school in Romania was opened in Timișoara at the hunting castle of the Count Florimond du Mercy. During the interwar period, we over 1,000 hunting company, totaling over 33,000 hunters. In 1928, the declaration of the Nove Zamki was signed by the representative of the France, Romania, Czechoslovakia, and Poland as founding members of the Conseil International de la Chasse, an organization to hold its first General Assembly in Paris in 1930. The Romanian hunting trophy were appreciated for their indisputable value and uniqueness at the Great World Hunting Exhibition starting from Vienna in 1910, continuing to the on in the Bucharest in 1997, registering the world record title 20 times. Since in 1937, the Chamois trophy assessed by 141 CIC points still holds the undisputed world record for this species. The School of Romanian Carpathian Brown Bear, hunted in 2015, was assessed at 70 CIC points, which constitute a new world record. In the last 2 decades, Romanian hunting faces new challenges. Intensive agriculture, increasing the accessibility of forest massifs, degradation and fragmentation of natural habitats, emergence of new contagious disease, for example, African swine fever and bird flu. Increasing influence of the protectionist and lobbying association against hunting and hunters. Create a major imbalances by overprotecting some apex predator like bear and wolf. However, reality shows us that the past have a secure future through the permanent appearance of specimens of exceptional quality, which some go to confirm once again the uniqueness and genetic value of Romanian games. Thank you very much for your interest and your patience.
Very interesting presentation and full of essential information for the field of hunting, Mr. Popovici. Thank you.
We continue our program with a special moment signed by the Natural Folklore Assembly Transylvania, which has a repertoire of 25 choreographed dances and has confirmed its value by winning international awards in Palma de Mallorca, Serbia, Italy, Turkey, South Korea, and the list goes on.
Almost ritually throughout the architecture of the steps, the naturalness and the gestures of the Maramureș dance is characterized in relation to the other dances from Romania by an extremely rich and varied rhythm.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, let's welcome the National Folklore Assembly Transylvania and the Maramureș Voievodal dance.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you probably have observed by now, we are honored with the presence at the highest official level of representation. Therefore, it is our great honor to invite on the stage one of the leaders of the Hungarian government, who has always proven to be a real support for our country and for the strengthening of our bilateral cooperation. Your Excellency, Mr. Zsolt Semjen, Deputy Prime Minister of Hungary, we kindly invite you to take the floor.
Also, Mr. Laurențiu Călin Bibart, Mayor of capital city of Arad County, please join us.
Cu ocazia expoziției universale, Societatea Comercială Uniți cu Natura, SRL, a înființat o decorație specială pentru recunoașterea meritelor. Decorația este deosebită prin faptul că a fost realizată special pentru expoziția universală și toate exemplarele sale sunt decernate în timpul expoziției. Există 3 categorii ale decorației. Astăzi, decorația de argint, a doua, cea mai importantă, va fi decernată domnului Călin Bibarz. Az Egy a Természettel non-profit Kft. A világkiállítás alkalmából különleges elismerést, díszjelet alapított. A díszjel különlegességét az adja, hogy kifejezetten a világkiállításra készült, és minden példánya átadása is kerül a világkiállítás során. 3 fokozatot határoztunk meg. Ezen a napon a második legmagasabb, az ezüst fokozatú díszjel kerül átadásra Călin Bibarz úrnak. Pentru recunoașterea meritelor sale în organizarea expoziției universale, decorația de argint îi va fi înmânată domnului Călin Bibarz de către domnul Zsolt Semjen, doctor, viceprim-ministru. Az Egy a Természettel vadászati természeti világkiállítás megvalósításában vállalt kiemelkedő szerepe elismeréseként ezüst fokozatú díszjelet adományoz dr. Semjen Zsolt miniszterelnök helyettes úr Călin Bibarz úrnak.
So, thank you very much. Köszönöm szépen, mulțumesc frumos. Kezi ciokolom, jó napot kívánok, să rămână, bună ziua. O să rog pe distinsa doamnă să traducă pentru mine, direct în maghiară. Distinse gazde, onorată asistență.
Tisztelt házigazdák, tisztelt résztvevők!
Un cunoscut scriitor maghiar, István Fekete, scria:
Egy közismert magyar író, Fekete István, azt írta:
Natura nu dezamăgește niciodată.
A természet soha nem hiteget.
Ea nu vorbește, deci nu minte, nu promite, totuși dă tonul.
A természet nem beszél, nem hazudik, nem ígér, mégis mindennel ellát.
Nu vorbește, dar totuși spune mai mult decât a spus vreodată omul.
A természet nem beszél, mégis sokkal többet mond el nekünk, mint amit valaha is az ember el tudott mondani.
Ca unul care am legături nu doar profesionale, ci și profund afective cu natura, ca om conștient că ea este darul cel mai de preț primit de la Dumnezeu, îngăduiți-mi înainte de toate să vă felicit din toată inima pentru organizarea acestui eveniment deosebit.
Én magam nem csak szakmai okból, hanem azért is, mert szeretem, mély kapcsolatban vagyok a természettel. És tudatában vagyok annak, hogy a természet az, ami a legdrágább ajándék, amit az Isten az embernek ajándékozott. Így kérem, engedjék meg, hogy mindenek előtt tiszta szívemből gratuláljak ennek a különleges eseménynek a megszervezéséért.
Vă mulțumesc și mă simt onorat pentru invitație, cât și pentru distincția primită.
Köszönöm szépen, és megtiszteltető számomra, hogy én kaptam ezt a díszjelet.
O distincție pe care vă rog să-mi îngăduiți să nu o consider personală,
Úgy gondolom, és kérem engedjék meg nekem, hogy ne személyesnek tekintsem ezt a díszjelet,
ci una dedicată României și colegilor mei specialiști din Romsilva.
tehát nem csak nekem szól ez, hanem Romániának és a Romszilvából itt érkező kollégáimnak.
Cei care de-a lungul timpului au înțeles un adevăr atât de simplu, dar atât de important.
Ők azok, akik az idők során egy nagyon egyszerű, de nagyon fontos igazságot megértettek,
Și anume că pământul este ceea ce avem cu toții în comun.
ami pedig az, hogy a Föld mindannyiunké.
Încă o dată vă mulțumesc și vă invit pe toți să descoperiți frumusețea și bogăția de neegalată a naturii românești, nu doar aici, ci și la fața locului, la noi acasă.
Még egyszer köszönöm szépen, és mindannyiukat arra hívom meg, hogy fedezzék fel a román természet nagyszerű szépségeit, gazdagságát, nem csak itt, hanem ott a helyszínen is.
Veți avea ocazia să descoperiți ceea ce scria un alt celebru romancer maghiar, Jókai Mór.
Akkor felfedezhetik azt is, amit egy másik híres magyar író, Jókai Mór mondott,
Când mor cuvintele lumii,
amikor a szavak elhallgatnak,
natura începe să vorbească
a természet kezd mesélni,
și atunci universul infinit se deschide
és akkor a véghetetlen világegyetem megnyílik,
și sufletul omului începe să vadă.
és az ember a lelkével érez és lát.
Ca oameni cu suflet mare, vă îndemn să redescoperim împreună natura.
Mivel mindannyian csupaszív emberek vagyunk, arra kérem önöket, fedezzük fel együtt a természetet.
Mulțumesc frumos, köszönöm szépen, viszontlátásra, minden jöjjt, egészséggel és jogdevel.
Köszönöm szépen!
Nagyon-nagyon köszönöm, m-am străduit.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, on behalf of Romania, we would like to thank you for being here with us on this important day, Romania's Day, the event we organize within the World Exhibition One with Nature.
And talking about the logistic organizational aspects, please allow us to address a special gratitude to the representatives from the National Forest Administration, Romsilva, and in the same time to those from the Romanian Ministry of Environment, Waters and Forests, who have put all their efforts and valuable contribution to make this event happen, and for us to enjoy such a remarkable and diverse program. Special thanks also goes to the talented members of the National Folklore Assembly, Transylvania.
After the next performance for our orchestra suite, namely the Hunters Anthem, we would like to warmly invite you to visit Romania's stand of representation. Once again, it was a pleasure to share these moments with all of you, and we wish you an extraordinary day ahead.
Thank you.